That was Joy Woods making her daytime TV debut right here on our show in 2021 with the cast of Little Shop of Horrors. Since then, she's made her Broadway debut as Catherine Parr in Six, the musical, starred in the stage adaptation of the beloved movie The Notebook, and is now earning rave reviews for her role in the highly anticipated revival of Gypsy. Joy, welcome back to The View.
Thank you for having me. What a jump scare, the video.
That was a little jump scare. You didn't realize we do that on The View, right?
It's good.
We find the clips. Now, we just ran through some of the shows you've been a part of, but just a few years ago, you were going to school here in the city and working at Junior's Cheesecake. By the way, that's one of my favorite spots. Now you are performing on Broadway just a couple of blocks away. Do you ever have those pinch me moments like, wow, I worked there and now I'm across the street doing this?
Yes, I mean, shortly after I left working at Junior's, I was 19 and I was telling everybody, like, I'm gonna be in a show. And they were like, yeah, sure, see you later. And shortly after, I ended up doing a shoot for Chicago the Musical.
Oh, yes.
And just the campaign for advertisements and things like that. They said it'll be on a few ads, maybe online, maybe on a taxi or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember the pandemic happened, so we didn't see much of that campaign. Right. And then when they started to release them, they were everywhere on trash cans and taxis and advertisements online and things. And it's actually a picture up outside of the theater, and there was a trash can right outside the Juniors that I used to work at with my face on it.
Yes. Look at that.
And it was very funny to walk by and look at it from day to day.
You've accomplished so much in such a short period of time. Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you're starring in Gypsy. It's often hailed really as one of the greatest musicals ever written, right? What was your reaction to finding out, wow, I got that gig, I'm joining that show?
I'll tell you, I did a lot of auditions for it, and I really was not sure if it was right for me, if I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And my agents called me in to have a meeting, and they said, we're not going to hear for a while. Yeah. And they started the meeting with giving me my resume, just asking, so this is just a normal checkup. We're just going to look through this resume, see if everything is all good.
Yeah.
And at the top of the resume, it said Louise and Gypsy. And I was like, oh, that's great. We're manifesting. That's very sweet. And I didn't know that they'd set up a camera and were watching me find out that it was real.
Oh, I like your agents.
They're very sweet.
Wow. Those are good agents. Well, you play Louise, who goes on to become a famous burlesque entertainer and striptease artist, Gypsy Rose Lee.
That's her.
Right? You're such a talented dancer, by the way, so talented. Do you think your dance experience proved really useful for the role?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the trajectory that Louise has in terms of finding herself and her confidence, so much of how we feel about ourselves shows up in our bodies.
Yeah.
There's so much you can say with your body, and I think having some control over my limbs and like understanding what my body does and how it sits and the way it moves has helped me sort of find that journey of storytelling rather than just the words and the way that she ends up using both of her body and her voice.
Especially because if you know the story of Gypsy, which I'm sure many of you do, she wasn't supposed to be the star. Her sister was supposed to be the star, but she becomes the star. So I think that's pretty impressive. Now, this is the first time Gypsy will be performed on Broadway with Black women in the 3 lead roles. It's amazing. And it's not this sort of colorblind casting that we are seeing more of, which I'm grateful for, but race is central to the production.
It's color conscious.
It's color conscious. Please explain to people that are watching this what that means.
Well, I think that there have been a lot of instances in art and entertainment recently that you take a look at the pieces and the work that we do, and we see all of the same faces and same looking faces in those works, and we start to question, why do they look like that? Do they have to look like that?
Right.
And the sort of direction that we took with this is that they don't have to look the way that they've always looked, but we can be aware of the context of all that which we live and all that came before us.
Right.
But also, you know, making sure that the story makes sense with the color of the person that's playing the roles.
Yeah.
And Gypsy is such a well-written show and such a universal experience. It's the Great Depression between the two world wars.
Yes.
So a lot of people were having similar experiences about struggling to pursue their dreams, failing, succeeding, what happens in all of the in-betweens, and confronted with such harsh truths. It's a universal story, and so we don't have to change anything really. And it's just nice to be able to tell the story through a different lens.
Through a different lens, exactly. Now we have to talk about Audra McDonald. Okay?
Well, yes.
The fabulous Audra McDonald, who is the most awarded performer in Tony history.
Rightfully so, I think.
I think so, rightfully so. She's a friend to the show. She plays your mother, the ruthless and very ambitious Mama Rose. What was it like playing with this legend day in and day out?
You know, sometimes it's still scary. Sometimes I lack the amount of presence that I need to be doing that show sometimes, because I'll blink and look at her. I'm like, you're Audra McDonald and you're yelling at me 3 feet from my face.
Yeah.
And
But you
it's
do
wonderful.
it.
She's such a
You're doing
wonderful person.
Yeah.
And she's a mom, and she's so down to earth and normal that any of the, oh my God, it's Audra McDonald is stripped. She doesn't allow that to be in the room. And that was very hopeful for a kid like me coming in to do the show with her.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
I learned a lot.
Now, Jordan Tyson plays your sister June, and this is not the first time you have worked together, I read.
No.
You were co-stars in The Notebook on Broadway, portraying the same character,
Yes.
Allie, at different ages. So did working together before impact this experience?
I think we were able to become sisters for real throughout our time at The Notebook. We were sharing a dressing room, playing the same role. I got to bother her for 2 years straight. She got to bother me for 2 years straight. We laughed for 2 years straight. We sang together for 2 years straight. It's so amazing to have done this show with her and then just watch how that forged her into the way that she's blossoming and just flying in this show. It's amazing to see. During the time at The Notebook, I remember I would be coming in and walking towards my dressing room, and Marianne Plunkett, who played the older Allie in our production, would be in with Jordan in her room going over June's lines. And I'm like, it's gonna be her. It has to be her. She's perfect for it. And I can't believe I got in there with her.
Well, you deserve to be there. You deserve to be there.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of The Notebook, let's talk about your show. Stealing Song, My Days. It blew up on social media. What was it like hearing your voice, not really your voice though, but like every time you opened Instagram or TikTok, because you couldn't get away from it?
No, ma'am.
My daughter keeps on playing it.
Yeah, it is around, and I'm really grateful that it was received the way that it was. It was my first time building a show, and first time having a baby and then giving it to the world and saying, I hope that you love my baby the way that we all do. So thanks for that, you guys.
They're singing it. They are singing it. They are singing it. Now, in 2016, before you had ever even been in a musical, you tweeted, I want to be on Broadway, TBH, probably a dancer.
Yeah.
If you could go back, what would you say to yourself 2016?
Dare to see more for yourself, because that is going to happen. People are going to see more of you than you think you have, and any sort of TBH and probably should have just been, I'm going to do this, because it's going to happen, whether you like it or ready for it or not.
And this may be one of the first times you've seen joy, but this will not be the last, ladies and gentlemen. This will not be the last. It will not. I promise you. I promise you that. Joy, thank you for being here. Gypsy is playing now at the Majestic Theater on Broadway. Do yourself a favor. Go and see it. Thanks for watching.